Happy Tuesday evening, everybody, and welcome to the Nana Boss Continuum. And tonight, I have an amazing guest tonight, and she's a great friend of mine. We don't get to see each other enough, that's for doggone sure. But I cannot wait for her to share some of her experiences and her adventures. And she's been doing this for, I think, more than 20 years now. So she's a veteran. And so we're going to have a really good time with her tonight. Before we begin, though, I want to address something. I'm sorry, my camera for some reason is kind of going in and out blurry tonight. I want to address something tonight. I want to remind everyone, my moderators, my viewers, I want to remind everybody that here at my channel, we don't do drama. We don't. We don't get involved in other people's drama either. And just so that we are all very, very clear, other channels' dramas stay at their channels, and they're not allowed here in my channel, in my chat, with my family, with you guys, my soul tribe. That isn't allowed here. This is a safe space where we can all come, enjoy each other's company for an hour, hour and a half, where we learn and we educate ourselves and we stay on the journey for the truth. We are focused here on this channel about the truth. So please, moderators, monitor the chat very, very closely. I know that there are some trolls lingering around. And if you guys see somebody who you don't recognize here, and if they get out of the, don't, they get one chance, not 2, 3, or 4, 5, 10, 20, whatever. No, they get one chance. If they are disrespectful to anyone here on this channel, or say anything out of the way, cursing, even things that allude to something that's not nice, you ban them. Do not time them out. You just ban them. And if I lose subscribers because of it, then so be it. I don't need those kind of subscribers. So having said all of that, let's focus on tonight's show. Let's get to our guests. Let me welcome everybody. Thank you guys for all being here tonight. Let me just welcome everybody who is here in the chat tonight. We've got Gary, we've got Catherine. Let's see. Miss Jean Hudson is also in the house. Spiritual Odyssey. Thank you for being here. Who else? Shucking It Down with Cornbread. I still love your screen name. Every single time I see it, it makes me smile. I love it. Who else? Mr. J. Fritz. Hi, Jay. Good to see you. Kathy, good to see you in the house tonight. Roger. Hey, Roger. Good to see you as well, my darling. And Miss Sue, Miss Aussie Sue. So glad to see you. All right, guys. Now, Marianne, I met Marianne. Her and I go this far back. Marianne was on mine and Matt's very, very first expedition that we ever went on in Mayaka. And I'll tell you what, I learned, don't tell anybody, but I think I learned more from her than anybody else that was there. But shh, don't tell anybody, okay? Please welcome my friend Marianne to the show tonight. Thank you for being here.
Hey, thank you for the build-up.
Girl, you are amazing. You were the very first person who introduced me to, a thermal. You were like, yeah, this is a thermal I got. Check this out. And I'm like, this is cool.
I like sharing.
You were there. You were there for everything that weekend. You were there and experienced that entire weekend with me. People talk all, they always are like, oh, there's no way you experienced all of that stuff that weekend. I'm like, yeah, we did. Right? Yeah. We had a lot of stuff going on that weekend. It was amazing.
My Facebook picture of the cow, I got that when I was coming back from the house. They were trying to do the haunted stuff. Yes. And you know how it was so dark walking back to the campground? Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm walking back by myself and I hear this sound and I bring up my thermal and there he was standing there. And I thought, oh, this is such a cool shot. So that's a Crowley cow.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you, that place there at Crowley is the Tatum House. That's something else. Listen, I've been back there a couple times. I had a negative entity try to jump me. I mean, oh yeah, that place is so haunted. That place has got so many spirits. Ooh.
You're gonna have to walk me through some of that. Some of it. I mean, some people may not like this, but it's too easy to cheat.
You're right.
I trust you. You know what I mean? And so maybe I'm experiencing things and I don't know it, just like some people do with Bigfoot. Or maybe I've got the wrong energy, which your positive energy will help a lot. But maybe next time we go camping, we can do some of that on the side,
I'm there. I am there for it. Let's do it. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about, how did you get started in this? How did you get started?
I was always interested, as a kid. I read the books and stuff. But I didn't know if there's anything to it until one day my son, I was inside and I came outside. We were next to the Cypress Creek well field there. We were right up to a section of it. Hey,
everybody's saying hi. So, Catherine says she misspelled it. Sorry.
That's okay. My husband calls me Marianne too. So I come outside and him and his friend come running out of the woods and he's like, Mom, we saw something big. And I said, pig or a deer, be careful. And he goes, no, Mom, I saw something big. And I said the same thing, pig or a deer, be careful, and just blew it off. Because where he was back at, it was swampy, mucky, but there's wild oranges, there's vines, things like that. A little bit to the south of it, the land gets higher and there's palmettos that are like 4 or 5 feet high. So later on, I'm working upstairs on my computer and the travel show is on downstairs and he's talking about Bigfoot. And he comes up and he goes, Mom, do we have Bigfoot in Florida? And I thought, I'm not going to say anything about the skunk ape, but I don't want to scare him out of the woods. So I said, well, there's something up north. I don't think it's here, but there's some people are seeing something up north. I don't know, what it is. And he says, oh, okay. So I don't know how long after that, we were waiting for his school to start. We're in the line of cars. He's in the back seat. And a friend of mine calls and he lives along the well field also. And he starts asking me, has your family ever seen anything unusual? Have they ever heard any sounds? And I'm going, no, not that I know of. I mean, there's something that kept my stepfather in a tree one night, but he said it was a fox. And he goes, well, I'll tell you. He goes, we saw a Bigfoot. And I'm like, okay. And
You're like, what?
well, I mean, again, he's somebody that, I've always been, he's a good guy. So I didn't want to just blow him off. But we're sitting there and my friend starts going, Mom, I saw it. I saw it. I saw it. And I turned around and said, what did you see? He goes, I saw the Bigfoot. And I said, when did you see a Bigfoot? He goes, remember when I came out of the woods and saw something big? And I said, well, why didn't you tell me? He goes, I didn't know what it was. I saw it on that show and you told me they weren't in Florida. And I'm like, wow. My friend immediately says, what did its ears look like? And my son said, you couldn't see the ears. There was hair hanging down. And that, he described it some more. He said they were in the woods playing, him and two brothers, and something was moving on the palmettos. They were by the orange trees and the vines. Something's moving in the palmettos. They could kind of see a bat going back and forth. And the little one, the youngest boy, got nervous and he left. So they're still playing. And I believe some sticks started getting thrown at them. And they thought it was the other boy. Stop it. But it didn't stop. And then he noticed the crunching was getting closer and it was getting bigger. And finally he just said, okay, we need to leave. We need to leave. So he turned around and he started running out. I guess he was 100, 150 yards in. And he starts running out and he says, I don't know why they could hear something coming. And he turned around and it was standing by a tree and it had its arm around the tree. It went like that. And I saw him when they came running out of the woods. Now the other boy, I think my son said he saw it, but he won't talk to anybody about it.
Wow.
So yeah, and so when I was talking to my friend, he was telling me that they had taken a golf cart to go on one of the roads that goes along the well field. And as they were driving along, they thought walk out of the woods and go down a little bit and walk back into the woods again. And his daughter's boyfriend had seen it cross the road on another side of the well field. Him and two cars stopped as a deer went across, and here came a Bigfoot walking across after it. So this all happened at the same time. Yes. So my friend asked me to call the FRO. I've never heard of them. And that's how I met Carolyn. Carolyn, who runs the investigators, came out. And that was another thing that happened is, she said, can he show me where it was at? And he said, sure, come on. So we're walking back there. He's about 10 years old at the time. And all of a sudden he stops and looks around and he picks up a stick. And I said, what is that? He goes, yeah. We walk a little bit further in and then he sits back and he takes my hand. I mean, he hadn't held my hand for a long time and he's holding my hand. We get to a certain point and my sister was with me with Carolyn and he said it was there. And we're like, where there? There's, 100 million trees. He goes, that tree. He would not go any further. He would not tree to tree to tree to tree before he said, okay, that's the tree. And the tree was, she couldn't get her arm around it. Estimated it was about 7 feet high, built like a real buff builder.
Mm-hmm.
There were branches and such around. So he saw the face and he actually drew me a picture of the face. I sent you the file.
Yeah, I saw that.
In the arm, but he couldn't see the bottom. But he said, no, it was not something hanging in a tree. It was standing up. So that was the first time. So later on, we had a second time. It was just me and him at home. And then he and my other son rode motorcycles, rode motocross and hair scramblers and such. So our yard constantly, there's somebody zooming around. In this field next to our house, we had, at some point, we had flattened the trees. We were going to do a pond. Meanwhile, it was just a lot with bushes about 4 feet, 5 feet high, muddy, mucky. They'd made 4-wheeler trails through it. And there was another trail along the edge with a couple of hills to jump. So I'm watching, I'm working, I'm watching him out the window, and he zooms around and then zips right into the garage. Parks it, comes inside. He's pale, he's sweating. I think this is like a couple of years later. He's a little bit taller. And he says, I think I saw it again. And I said, what? He said, I think I saw the Bigfoot again. I said, really? Out there? And he said, yeah. And I said, I'm grabbing my camera this time.
Right.
He said, will you go out there with me? He said, yes, I'll go out there with you. So we go out there and he shows me where he sees it. And he said, what had happened? He was riding around. He was going over a hill. And out of the corner of his eye, he saw something that was taller than the bushes duck. So, so we're looking and looking, and we're not, it's so mucky, we really can't see anything that well. And I said,
Mhm.
maybe I made a mistake. And I said, well, where exactly? And he showed me where, about where it ducked. And I'm looking and I'm like, it's right down a path to where it had a perfect view of the hill that he was jumping. So then I turn around, and behind us were palmetto branches scattered over the mud. Something had pulled up a palmetto, which I never knew the bottom was like celery. That's what they look like.
Yeah, it's a cat like cabbage. Yeah, it's edible. It's really very nutritious. It's
It
like
had
if you
pulled
get
it
stuck
up,
out
and they
there.
were
Mhm.
scattered over the top of the muck. And some of them were chewed, some of them were bitten, some of them weren't. And one of the things I've always kicked myself, I didn't know enough about DNA. So I took pictures of them, and I cut the bottoms off that were touched, and I put them in plastic bags, and I put them in the freezer, which is a no-no. Because, yeah, when cells freeze and then unfreeze, it collapses the cell wall, you lose the DNA.
You
What I
lose the
should have done is I
DNA.
should have set them somewhere, let them dried, and then stored them in a box, is what I should have
Hmm.
done. But when I saw that, I was like, yeah, something was watching you, was having a snack, watching you jump these things. So we looked around some more, and we found a handprint in the mud. And what was amazing is that the handprint was by where it ducked, but we couldn't see any tracks leaving. I mean, it was right there. So I started looking along, just quartering the area back and forth. And finally, right on the edges of the trees, how goes up along the tree,
Hmm.
that's where it was stepping. I found two good tracks there.
Wow.
So I guess it wouldn't have left a handprint, but it was so surprised when he looked over at it. I guess it lost its balance. But after that, it was walking along the trees and the brush that, would come up again.
Yeah,
So
because it probably. I mean, if he's like writing out there, and I don't know if I don't know if any of the viewers, but whenever I've gone and watched like motocross racing, there's there's the sound that they make is very, because it just keeps going, and it's actually kind of soothing a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like it's this rhythmic sound, very
it's also
loud.
fun. I mean, they're jumping and they're kicking their legs, and
Right.
they're having fun. And plus,
So I
sometimes they
had
get
to be
around
there
looking at
checking
each
it
other.
out.
Hmm.
That's so cool.
So that's what got it started. My sister started with the BFRO. I started later. I was with them for a couple years.
Hmm.
Um, oh, my best. I've never seen one if you don't count a shadow. But the best thing, and I mean, it was fantastic. And you know how everybody talks about their batteries dying out or things turning off? Yes.
Yes.
I went on a BFRO expedition. I think it was 2013 up in Michigan. I have the name somewhere. I can, but I've got pictures in there too. And it was a wild fowl area. I guess they use it for skiing in the winter, and the fowl and the hunting. And so
Hmm.
I went with a group of people. It was, I think it was March. It was cold. It was drizzly. It was getting dark. And what we did is we went through the woods. We parked. You go through the woods, and it's this white gravel looking road. You go through out of the woods, and it's to a bridge that breaks a pond. The road keeps going up into the distance. There's also another ridge between this pond and that pond. So we walked around and we howled, and I went ahead and we sang, and because you're not gonna surprise them. So, but you could try to lead them in, which is
Right.
what worked. There's one point I thought something was paralleling me, and I was way ahead of the guys, just singing, being bait. And the guys told me when they got to that section, they heard it too, something walking along with them. But they whistled at me. Came back to them, and we walked. We came to the houses. There's some houses there, and it was funny because we came behind the bushes to the houses, and something goes running up, brum, 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 and then the light flashes on. And I'm grabbing everybody saying, oh my God, we scared the horse. They're going to be furious with us because the horse is going to kill itself on the fence or something. So we ducked back and we hid like a bunch of little kids. And then we left. We found out later they don't have a horse. So we don't know what it was. It was big. I don't know, moose, elk. I'm not familiar with the animals in Michigan. So we get back to the parking lot and having a good time. They're a great group of guys. So some of them split to go back to another place. We decided to go back to the bridge by the water. So we're sitting at this bridge and we're talking. And like I said, great group of guys are having a great time. There was no moon. There was clouds because it was drizzly.
Mm-hmm.
There must have been a moon above it because it was light enough you could see without a lamp. You didn't have to have a lamp to see each other. So we're talking and stuff. Me and this guy were on the side, and then all of a sudden, two of the guys get up and they're in the middle of the bridge, and they're looking and they're pointing, and we're like, "What's going on, guys?" And they said, "We're seeing eye glow." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, eye glow." And they're like, "No, we're seeing red eyes." And they're trying to point it out to me because the other ones come up and they're like, "There," and they're like, "Yeah, 2:00." And wow, there's something over, and they're seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Now there's lightning bugs flipping around, but they're seeing red, big eye glow. And I'm so frustrated. So I'm walking up on the bridge and I'm looking, and there's a sign or something by the side. And all of a sudden it looked like a pen light came out from the side of the sign. And I'm like, "Oh, that's not a lightning bug." And it went back in, and it went out, and went back in, and then two of them came out. And then another two came. You know what I mean? It was going back and forth on the sign. It was so
Wow.
cool. I saw another set of eyes up in the trees, which later I found there was a tree that was down against other trees, and it made a natural ladder. And that's what I saw. I saw it climbing through the trees. So this went on
Wow.
for a little while. We had, it would die down, it would start up and die down. Mostly the guys seen the red. After I saw the white one, I didn't see them anymore. But where the ridge was between the two ponds, everybody's like, "Was that bush there before?" Between the two trees, there's a black spot. And we're like, "I don't know. I can't remember." Okay. Da, 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 da. Next thing you know, there's no bush there anymore. And then I'm looking at the road because the road curves up, and I'm like, "What happened to the curve?" Because the road's cut off, and we realized something was standing outside, leaning over. But it's so dark, you can't, and we didn't want to turn on the lights.
Yeah.
And then finally, a couple of the guys went, and we're like, "What?" And they said, "Something just crossed the road. It crossed the road on 4, and one of them's a bear hunter." And he said, "That was no bear." They reenacted it later, and he's like, "No, that was no bear." So
Wow.
it was really cool. So we start, it starts calming down, and we're discussing, should we go after them? Should we stay longer? Because it'd been 15, 20 minutes, no activity. And we thought, well, if we go after them, we're going to chase them away, because we're thinking, eye glow. First of us were blown away at eye glow because, you have to, there's nothing that can speak for that. There's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we didn't want to, we were thinking it was adults and juveniles, and we didn't want to scare them. We thought, we'll go back, tell everybody, and we'll come back the next night. So we start, we turn around, we start walking back. And one of the guys said, "Look, when we get into the trees and, you can't see us anymore, stop." Sometimes you hear a knock that we're out of the area. That's happened sometimes. So we go into the trees and nothing happens. So when the guy says, "Hey, thanks for a good time," another one says, "Yeah, we'll see you later." We turn around, start to walk, and something yelled at us. But the closest I can think of is a gibbon, It was
Mm-hmm.
not deep. It wasn't Ohio howl or anything like that. It sounded like a gibbon.
Like a high pitched,
Yeah,
like.
but yodeling, and
Mm-hmm.
if somebody had speakers out there, they had some damn good speakers, you know. So we all look at this guy that's with us. He's the hunter. And all through the night when we were there, we would hear sounds and go, "Oh, that's that." And he'd say, "No, that's a goose. No, that's a loon." We looked at him and he was dancing. He's like, "I have never seen anything, never heard anything like that before." So we're like, high-fiving. "Okay, we did it. This is great. This whole trip was worth it." So nothing happens. We decide to keep walking. We walk, 5 or 10 steps. It happens again. And it's closer and it's louder. And we're like, "Oh, that's when we got the discussion. Should we go back? Should we keep going? But we just had the feeling that if we went back, they would leave. I don't know if that was the right feeling, but that's what we had.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided, okay, we listened for a little bit, nothing happened, started walking again. This time it was 3 or 4 voices, all of them at the same time. I mean,
That's
this is
awesome.
the woods in Michigan at, 1 o'clock in the morning. No.
That's
So we've got
awesome.
monkeys yelling at us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Matt just popped in. He says, "Good evening, folks. Had to come and check out and support Marian. She's the real deal."
thank you, Mike.
Matt,
I know. I felt so bad when I did that to him that one time.
I
Thank
know
you,
it's
Matt.
okay. He gets it all the time.
But so finally we left we started walking one more time, and this time it yelled again, but this one was like, "Rah, rah, rah." So the impression we got was stay, stay, come on, stay, 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 stay. Fine,
Yeah.
get out of here. And when I talk about batteries going dead and stuff like that, I
Uh-huh.
had a recorder on the whole time, except I remembered the conversation I was having when the guy started seeing the eyes. So I get back and I start zipping through my recorder, and it
Right.
went dead. It went dead. Right during that conversation, it went dead before all this started. There's another guy that had a recorder, and he said his cut off too. So
Isn't that, see, that's so weird because like it does happen. It doesn't happen to like it's happened to Matt and I on numerous occasions. Like
mhm.
it just does. It happens. Like I don't know why it happens, but
I know it's one
it's
of those things. You've got to write it down, put it there, but you can't explain it. I mean, how
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So that was the best time. I had
So so do you want to show some of those we can, we can show because
if
you
you
sent I
want,
think you
that's
sent
up to
me,
you.
yeah, you sent me some stuff.
I mean, you
Let's
pick
see.
something and I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
And maybe somebody in the audience maybe they know something or they've seen something similar. I don't have a very lot, guys. Just a few.
All right. Okay. So there's a couple here that were by the that say Michigan, the
Yes. Okay.
Michigan.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So let's go with these. Let me pull it up a little. Let me move this up just a little. See if I can make this a little bit bigger before I share
Yeah.
it.
I think a couple of them were cut from a video, so they may not be very big resolution.
That's all right. So these are the ones that hold on, I gotta get to the I have to do hold on. Gotta go here. How do I do this? Of course, this is gonna happen when Matt's here.
Software. That's just Windows.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens. All right, hold on. Oh, wait, I'm sharing it wrong. Hold on. I have to go to something else. Hold on. I got to do share screen, and then I have to do the tab. Ha! I got it.
All right.
All right. Now is it showing?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
So that's the road. There's the bridge. There's the sign, and that's the road. You see how it curves up?
Mm-hmm. Let me
That
see if
curve
I can make it
disappeared.
a little bit bigger. Is that a little better?
Yeah. I mean, if your audience can see it. But yes, that's the sign that I started seeing the lights going back and forth. The guys were seeing red eyes a little bit higher behind it, back further behind it.
Mm-hmm.
You can see how the road curves. The road
Yep.
disappeared. And off to the side, you can't see it, is where the bush came and went. But that was the area. That's about where I was standing when I was playing peekaboo.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it must have been very small.
Yeah. That's why we think
So,
juvenile, its eyes were, it was white, but it was so bright, it was like 2 pen lights coming on. That's how bright. It wasn't reflection. It wasn't a lightning bug flickering around. It was like 2 pen lights coming out.
mhm. Well, my first sighting was a nighttime sighting down here in 1986. And I talk a lot about it. I talk about the red glowing eyes.
You
It
saw
was
it.
it was red glowing eyes. I mean, they were illuminated, from inside. There was, you know what I'm saying? Like it was absolutely.
Now, I think I saw red eyes the next night. That's Jim Sherman. He was the BFRO. I think he
Mhm.
toured cryptid online. He has some very good audio that he's gotten in Michigan. That is where we think the thing that I was playing peekaboo with was standing. Because
Got
when you
you.
walk along the road, that area, you can't see anything. And everybody's
Mhm.
like, how's it getting in? Because it looked like solid bushes. So I kept going further, and there's a road that goes to the side. And I said, it got in there somehow. So I started, and I saw these crushed ferns and started following them. And I came to this place, and the grass was all matted down. And there's a place a little bit further back where something had matted that down. We think the big one was standing behind. So they were trying to get an idea of the size.
Trying to see if I can get this. Oh, here. Now I got it. This
Mhm.
might work better. Hold on. Let me see. Does that look a little better? Let me see if I can. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to get it so I can get like full screen here. Why is it not letting me?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can see, like, so you guys were probably, yeah. So I mean, so then it wouldn't have been really tiny because I was thinking maybe it was hiding behind that sign. But if it's that far into the wood line, then yeah, it would be. Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's wild. All right.
Yeah, the
Now,
next night we took some people out to that same area. We tried to duplicate it. It wasn't quite the same. It didn't have the same vibe. Everybody was so, where are the Bigfoot? Where are the Bigfoot? But I do
yeah.
know that, we walked around, and as we were walking back to this place, this this red light flared out in the woods. It looked like, I don't know what they say, soda can or something like that. It
Hmm.
flared up and then it went out. My sister and some of them had gone down past the curve, so I thought they were cutting back through the woods with their headlamps on. I found out later, no, they weren't. They came back down the road. So was it sun reflecting off of something? Was it
Hmm.
something peeking from behind a tree? I don't know, but that's the only red I saw. So yeah, that
Thanks, Matt. I'm getting there. I'm getting there, Matt. I figured it out, though. I did a good job. You got to give me kudos on that. I figured it out.
So handprint. That's the handprint for when it ducked down the bush the second time. Those
Okay.
outlined in yellow are the tracks I found.
Let's see here. Wow.
Yeah, you see how the thumb is down the side some?
Yeah, right? It's always in that really strange position, right?
Yeah, it's further
Like
down.
they're always in this, it's always in this very weird, like
Well, see, from
strange
what I
position.
understand from, I think, Grover Krantz, if you've read his book, and Meldrum,
Mhm.
they don't have this muscle right here. When people have seen it holding something, it's been all four like this. So because they don't have this muscle, it looks,
It
it's
looks, yeah.
different. Yeah. Yeah, they don't have, I don't know what they call it, the drumstick or something like that. But
We
that's
did
why
have,
it's further down.
where's that question?
Hmm?
There it is. Brian Barber wants to know, was it in Sherman, Michigan?
No, it wasn't in Sherman, Michigan. Oh, I made some notes, but I don't think I wrote it down where it is.
Now let's look at these. Now, are these casts, these casts, are these casts that you've done or you've gotten?
No, I don't know why I put that one there. That one I found, I think it's pictures from Cliff Bergman's.
Oh, okay, okay,
I just
okay.
like that picture because there's so many people that think they look like human feet. But when
Mm-hmm.
you have them, I mean, because these are skinny enough, it might be the distortion of the picture. But when you start looking at different casts like this, you see differences. And I think too many times people mistake human feet
For
for Bigfoot. I mean, people go barefoot more places than you know.
they do. Now, I will, I mean, one thing that I can say though is, that Shane and Randy, a part of their I'm trying to get this to hold on here, guys. I'm sorry. This is like a fairly small print. I'm trying to get it to show up here.
Yeah. I
It's
don't know if
not
it's
giving me.
going. The complaint I have is in the preserve, this area I've been going. I found
Mm-hmm.
it's in 3 different places, and you can see the heel. You can see how it spreads out. It's flat. It doesn't have the arch. It completely covers.
Mm-hmm.
No toes. And that's why I've shown there's a couple others. I don't know if anybody's run into that, something that walks on its heels. There's no there's no
Yeah.
tread marks or anything like that. Again, there's no sign of an arch. It's completely flat. It's wide, but there's no toes.
Interesting. And I mean, is it an area that is, has sightings or, I mean,
Yes, in this area, there was the BFRO took a report from somebody. They were setting up a camera to take pictures of the wild hogs on one of
mm-hmm,
the old roads that go through. And he heard crashing. He didn't have his camera set up. He heard crashing and he watched one walk across the road he was on. And I believe when they came back later, they found an obvious path. They also found branches broken up very high, like it
mm-hmm.
was clearing its way through there.
Hmm.
So, yeah. So they've been
Interesting.
there before.
Okay. Now let me see. Let me go back.
You know,
Let's
like I said,
see.
these aren't real good pictures. That's why I didn't cast them. Why cast them?
Yeah, they're right. Because here in Florida, it's not always easy, right? Is this another one of those that
Yeah, I think these two. I think I found one. It was in the swamp next to a ball field, which I think
interesting?
is. I found what was funny is I found this. It looked like a natural walkway. You had to crawl through a fence, but it looked like a natural walkway that went up to this area that had, football field, baseball field, soccer. I could hear people playing. That's what attracted me to it. So I go in there and I see what looks like a track. Could be, couldn't be, one of those things. But then I notice a baseball and a baseball and a football and another football. And I must have found 4 or 5 baseballs and 3 or 4 footballs. And I thought, why are these all in this one place?
Huh.
It's way back from the field. I don't know. Usually, when people warm up or something, it might go over the fence. I mean, it was a good, I want to say an 8-foot fence. That can happen, but this was so far back. And from what I remember, one of the fields, it had another fence between that and this fence.
Huh.
And there was, I saw some barrels or something. I thought, oh, maybe it's waste barrels, but no, they were empty. They were using it for something else. I thought,
Interesting.
yeah. And so that's when I kept going through there and I found these tracks. I think I found this
And that
track.
was and this is in Michigan?
No, this is in Florida.
Oh, this is in Florida. So the one
Yeah.
that's missing the toes is here in Florida.
Yeah. And they're all from the
Okay.
same area. See, like you see this one. This one is nice and round and there's no arch and it's wide and there's no tread or anything
And
and no
just no
toes.
toes. Well, because Jean Hudson, she's from Michigan, and she said, frostbite is real, and the toes could have gotten frostbit if he or she lost the toes. That would make so much sense, Jean, for sure. So you
Yeah.
never know. Maybe that's why they relocated to Florida, like a lot of the other snowbirds.
Oh, you got me started.
I'm sorry. That was just, I couldn't help that one, guys. I couldn't help it. Oh, it
I
would
can
make
feel
sense.
the Bigfoot saying, go home. Snowbirds, go home.
Yeah. Jean says missing toes down south could be a trap.
That's possible. I mean, I've got 11 inches and 14 inches. And that one with my phone you saw was real short, like maybe 9 inches, but it depends
Uh-huh.
on how much of the foot they press down.
Right,
I don't think
right.
it's 3 different individuals. That'd be
Interesting.
extremely unusual to have 3 different individuals. They would be more together, you know what I mean?
Right. So
Um,
I'd love to play because this is so, I was going through some of the audio that you've got that you sent me.
mhm.
And the one that you've got of sounds like it's, a Bigfoot running. The audio says running Bigfoot. And so I'm going to play this because this is exactly, exactly what we heard a couple of weeks ago in Missouri, guys. This is literally when I played it before the show. I was like, wow, this is
Well,
exactly what we heard.
play the running bear first,
Okay.
because I just thought
Yeah.
it was a nice
Oh, and I
comparison.
love that about you. Like, that's one of the things that I appreciate
Thank
about
you.
you because, like, it's about the research because you're trying, you're getting evidence and then you're trying to debunk it. You're checking and does it match this? Does it match this? Does it match that? So I really appreciate that.
Well, I'm more of a tourist than a researcher.
I
I have
don't
to
know
up
about
my
that.
game to do. No, there's
I
a
don't
lot
know
to
about all
do if you
that.
want to be a real researcher. So I call myself a tourist, an experienced tourist.
An experienced. All right. So let's hope this comes through here.
Yeah. So that was a
Did
bear
everybody
running through someone's camp.
Did everybody hear that? Can you guys just confirm to me that you guys actually heard it? Hey there, DA. Hi, DA. Um, did you guys hear that? I just want to make sure that the audio is coming through. Because I may have to try to maybe download it and share it a different way if the audio. Oh, perfect. They heard it. Awesome.
Okay, good.
All right, I'll play it again. So this is a bear that they got on audio running through their camp. And this was down here in Florida, or where was this
Oh,
at?
no, this isn't mine. This is something I found online, but the
Oh,
two
okay.
audios together are very interesting. Uh-huh.
Okay. So this is a bear running through someone's camp. Okay. And now this audio, and where did this audio come from? The
Again, I
running
found
big.
it online somewhere. I
Okay.
know I should, give credit because I love the audio. Big difference.
Big difference.
Yeah. So
Big
this is what you
difference.
heard in the Ozarks?
Yeah. When
Wow.
we were in the tent, I mean, not that fast, not that exact fast, but it was very, it was very like whoosh, 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 like that. You know what I mean? It had that like
It
almost
had
this
that heaviness.
kind of sound to it. It was really very similar to, to that sound. When I heard it, I was like, because of the storm that night, I had my audio recorder in the tent. And then because of the storm coming, I was like, well, let me put it in the car just to be safe. I put it in the car, and then I forgot it. And then when I went in there and I was already laying down, I'm like, I left it in the car. And I'm like, oh, we haven't really had much going on, so why bother? See, I'll never do that again, though.
Well, I learned the hard way. I can't put it in the tent with me or where I'm sleeping because one night my sister and we were in I don't know if you ever heard of the bridges up in Tallahassee.
Uh-huh.
We had this little shed they called the Sugar Shack. So we were staying in the Sugar Shack and I, sleeping, and I had the recorder in the room with us. And all of a sudden my sister's going, Marian, wake up. Something's growling around the house, and I listened and she goes, oh, it must have left. So the next day I get out the recorder and I was snoring. I thought it was something growling around. I said, okay, I erased that one.
And you were just snoring.
Yeah, so now I put it outside somewhere. I don't want to get, 12 hours of me snoring.
Oh, I don't care. I don't really snore all that much. It's not really that I snore. I just kind of like, but I don't move. I know
Mm.
that sounds weird, but like I literally I sleep in the same I never move all night. I sleep in the same position. I never
Across your
move. And people are like, I'll be like, well, it wasn't me you heard because I don't move.
Oh, I was so embarrassed.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I'm actually a really good tent mate. I really am. I don't bother nobody. I just, what do I do, Brian Barber? What do I do? Put in my earbuds. I turn on my audio recorder and I just go to sleep.
You don't try to stay awake?
Well, I do to a point, but I mean, when I'm
Mm.
ready, like when I'm exhausted and I'm like, I finally, that's when because I'm always like, I don't have two earbuds in. I only have one earbud in.
Mm-hmm.
I still have my other ear, I'm still listening, but it's like, I just, I need something to just kind of get me into like, I just need to kind of get into that like state where I'm physically exhausted, but I don't want to go completely out. So in
Mm-hmm.
order to kind of get myself to that spot, I'm not actually like out because I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually listening to stuff. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? And I'm not hyper focusing on every little thing because if I do that, because there was one time I will say, because usually I'm very like, I'm calm, I'm chill. I just listen to stuff that happens. But I will say there was one time I went camping with a couple people and there was a lot of people in this campground. And I heard walking around, and I knew it wasn't anything Sasquatch or Bigfoot or skunk ape related. I knew that it was a person. Like I kept hearing somebody kind of walking around, but there were a lot of people in that area. So I was kind of like unnerved, but I'm not unnerved I'm just unnerved because why is there is some
Mm.
dude walking around here doing like, what is he, like, that's the kind of stuff that makes me unnerved. I don't get unnerved for owls and whatever else I hear. Coyotes, I don't know, I'm used to all of those things. So those don't bother me in any way. But
Let me tell you, I had one mess with my tent, and I always thought I would be, brave. Mm-mm. I always tell everybody I was rabbit scared.
yeah.
In Osceola, we were in Osceola, and everything was wet. I mean, very wet. We had to ask some guys that were logging out there where can we camp because everything was underwater. And they told us to go down these roads, and there was a pond. And this pond, the only dry spot on it was where they had dug out the pond and put the pilings. So we're
Mm-hmm.
all in a row along this thing, and we got our cars parked up next to it so we don't, we already had a car and a trailer get stuck. So we had my tent and I had a tarp over it. We had my car next to it. And then my son put up his tent and he had this big old 2, 3 room orange thing. And we're sitting around at night and somebody's weather radio went off and they said they were going to have tropical storm winds coming through the area. So I immediately said, okay, you're either staying with me because I had a little tent or you're sleeping in the car. You're not sleeping in your tent because if it got blown off, it'd be into the pond and he'd drown. He wasn't happy with that. He slept in the car. But I don't know what time it was, but all of a sudden my tent's shaking and it's shaking and it's being pushed down to where I'm looking up and I'm thinking it's going to collapse on my head. And this is going on, and I'm like, what the heck is a storm here? And all of a sudden, and it popped up,
Hmm.
and there was no wind at all. We were, around this field, there were pines. There was no wind at all. And I thought, what the heck? Especially when pushing it down. And then all of a sudden, on one side between me and the pond, I hear snap. And I went, oof, okay. And all the frogs, this
Ooh.
was like a pond lake. Every single frog went completely quiet the whole time this is happening to me. And that's one thing that I think points to it being something, you know, because frogs, they'll quiet over here, and then you can hear how something travels around, because this one will start,
Uh-huh.
yeah, no, the whole pond for the whole time this is happening. So the frogs die, snap, and then I hear it very softly. I hear it take a step, and it was going around my tent. It was like, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then I heard it between my son and I thought, okay, because the whole time I'm cramped, I'm shaking. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's the only time I thought about getting up, was this,
Mm.
my son gonna wake
Right, right. When it's our kid, you're like,
up? Yeah.
Mama
So,
bear coming out.
then I heard it, 6 o'clock, and then I heard it, I don't know how to describe it. It's a scuff on the grassy muck. And finally it seemed like it left because all the frogs started again. And I started to move, going, holy shit, what was that? And then the frogs died. It came back again. And then it left and the frogs started. But this time I froze until I heard somebody get out of their truck, till I could see the light under the tent. I could see. I mean,
It's
I still like to listen, but I don't want them to get that close anymore.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I looked everywhere. I found where the sticks broke. It was 2 sticks that Justin and another boy were using to make fishing poles. That's what was there. Everything else was grass and mud. And I looked everywhere, and they, some people helped me. We couldn't find any tracks. It was just too mucky.
And that's the thing about Florida. Like, it is so rare to get a track here. It is so rare.
It's hard.
The
Even if you see it.
substrate is just, I mean,
Yeah.
so not fair.
I mean, I've gotten to where there's a lot of places. I just, if it's a mud puddle or if it's by a lake or stream or something, I'll go look around there. But roads and such, no.
Yeah.
You might see it in the ditch if you're lucky, but again, it has to be just right.
Yeah.
You're not going to see it. It's hard.
Yeah. It's hard. It is so hard. Like, I went hiking Labor Day weekend, and I gotta say, like, I found so many amazing tracks. Of course, not
Yeah.
Sasquatch, Bigfoot related, but it was, I found bobcat, I found, a bunch. I found hog. I found like so many tracks, and I tell you, it was perfect. It was like they had stepped in the mud and it had dried. Oh, it was probably maybe from like maybe 2 to 3 days prior. So it was fresh, and it like, oh, I could have casted those, but that, I mean, how rare is that to happen though? That like never happens. I was like, of course, this is why I don't ever take casting material anywhere, because quite frankly, it's
Yeah. Well, you know how it
so
is.
rare to find something to cast.
But
So
I take
dangerous.
everything. I take casting material. I take stuff to
Yeah,
take.
what tell me what's in that backpack of yours, girl?
Too much. I don't want to do a list, but I do. I take my thermal even in the day, because I think, well, if I get stuck out at night, I want to have something I could see with. I
Right?
take a good camera with me. I have my phone camera. I just got a cheap, like a GoPro knockoff. I wanted to try it first. It's okay. Eventually I'm going to go get a GoPro. I've got Canon makes it. It's like a electric, it's got a zoom lens. What's nice about it, it's almost like it's not quite a binocular, but it'll go up to 800 meters. But what's nice is it has a stabilizer. So
Oh,
you can,
nice.
and it stabilizes it. You can also record and take a picture, but it's noisy. I take casting material. Chris Hensley, I guess, he showed me a track he did with foam. So I took foam. Foam's so-so, you know.
Yeah, I've never really used foam. I wouldn't even know how to even use it.
Well, it's the spray foam that
It's
she
just that
uses under
spray stuff
construction.
that you put in to like fill up holes like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
And one of the tracks I did after I took pictures, and it was okay. I was hoping maybe the holes were down in the ground, the toes, or what's underneath something, but it didn't go. I will say there's different kinds. Some will expand a lot more than others, and it's sticky and it's loud. What was funny is where it was middle of the day. I'm back in an area. not real far. I'm not real far back in the swamp. And saw it. I thought, well, I'll try and cast it. I got this stuff. So I spray the foam in and real loud. Great. I try to puff it down in there, and of course it's sticking to everything. All right. So then I sat down on the ground and just started looking at my phone, waiting for it to dry. And all of a sudden I hear this crunching coming up behind me. And at first I thought,
Oh boy.
yeah. So what got me about that, and I don't know what it was, somebody said it could have been a buck, is that, it's crunching towards me and stuff, and there's a lot of pig in the area. So I jump up, go to my backpack, and I have some pepper spray in my, and whatever it was froze. Now a hog would have taken off.
Yeah.
Somebody told me bucks are pretty good about staying still. All I know is that when the wind would blow, I'd hear a little crunching, and the wind stopped, the crunching would stop. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't find anything. That was weird. I think maybe the sound of the foam attracted it.
Interesting.
And, yeah, it's just one of those things. It makes it fun. But
right. I mean, it is true. Like, because we a lot of what we do is out in the field, right? We're trial and error, and we're working things out and trying things we hear about and think, we see in other people doing. I mean, yeah, like, we got to just get out there and try it.
Well, I got an electric bike a couple months ago, and that is the best. That is the best. I am so glad.
Love one of those.
Because I'm getting older, unfortunately.
Matt, if you're here, if you're
still Matt,
in here,
if you love your mother, you will do that, because
get mommy
I go to all these places, and I hike a mile, I hike 2 miles in, 3 miles, and I got to hike back out, and now I am hurting. My feet are hurting, my hips are hurting. I get on this bike and I'm going 10, 15, 20 miles. I'm getting to areas there's nobody at.
That's so
cool. I haven't seen a panther or a bear. Now I found bear scat, and I found a paw print that was pretty big, but it could have been a big bobcat, not a panther. Right. But I'm in areas that, that's where they're at. And I thought, man, this going 2 miles off the side of the road is, you got to get that. And I was telling you about whatever I heard was yelling. I was about 6, 7 miles in, and I heard that yelling that I recorded, but I can't clean it up. I don't know what that was. I thought maybe there's some signs for lost dogs, but it wasn't a dog whine, because I heard it 2 or 3 times. It wasn't a dove. It wasn't. Yeah, it was really weird. But again,
I don't know what that. I mean, I can't imagine what would make a sound like that here. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
the closest I can come is kind of like what I heard in Michigan. I don't know.
Interesting.
I tried to go back in there where I heard it, but it was, you know what I mean? But I know where it is. It's marked on a map. So I plan to go back again.
You're like, GPS that. I'm going to drop the pin right here.
Well, it's one of those places I'll go back on the bike and stuff, but I'd really like to go camping out there. One of those things where you say, I'm going to camp over in this official campground, and you drop your stuff and you take your backpack and you keep going. You don't sleep there at all.
Right.
Yeah.
You and I got to do that. We got to like, we do. You and I should plan some trips for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to do some more like green swamp stuff. I would like to check that out a lot more. I don't know. I think it's an amazing area. I just haven't been there enough. I've been there. Yes, I've been there a couple times, but I'd like to go more.
Right now it's full of hunting, because where I was on the east side of the green swamp, I guess the WMA, Compresco WMA, but I was on a road that was between it and Colt Creek, and I'd gone back past the power lines. So I'd gone back there some.
Matt and I had a very interesting interaction in Colt Creek. We have Matt. It's not been released. It's never been released because, it's. I don't know.
There's something there.
I never know whether Matt will let me release it, because it's kind of like when I think about maybe releasing some stuff, because he still has his film that he's never released the entire
Mhm.
film yet. And this interaction that we had that day was going to be a part of that. So I don't know. I have to wait, and I'm still working it out, trying to see, like what I can, because I am going to start releasing some stuff. I am going to start, I mean, we've been hanging on to stuff for 2 years or more.
Wow.
Like we've been hanging on to a lot of evidence we don't even talk about.
Wow.
We've never even mentioned. So like, there's going to be stuff coming out eventually, though. So Lenny wanted to know, going back to the spray foam. So it worked, or, well, I mean, would you use it again
I'd use it if I ran out of the other stuff.
if you
And
ran
it's
out of like
usually it's
hydrocal or the,
lighter, yeah, because
yeah.
I haven't tried making a copy by
Uh-huh.
impressing this foam into sand and making copy that way. Chris Hensley was the one that was showed to me, and the track looked decent. The practice one, it wasn't a real track, I don't believe, but
Yeah.
it looked
Yeah.
decent. I just know that it puffs up a lot, so you're not going to get any good details if it's not a good
Right.
solid base, because it's going to push the
Mm-hmm.
sand out of the way. It's
Yeah.
it might explode the print. Who knows? Um,
Right.
that may be the foam I was using. I may have had foam that spread too fast. I know there's different, there's different
Well,
ones.
you and I will have to talk backstage, and we'll talk about a little bit of a different way. It's
Mhm.
by scanning it, using your phone as like a 3D
I've heard
scanner,
about that. Yeah.
and it works really well. Matt and I have used it a few times. It works pretty doggone good.
But you got to have a what, iPhone 12 or
You can get, I think there's an app out there that actually just help. It depends on what phone you have. It does depend on the phone you have, but I think there are some apps that look, if you're in a pinch and you don't have hydrocal and you don't have anything else with you, and you find the track of a lifetime, I've only used it a couple times myself, like
Mhm.
making sure, like, hey, okay, this works. Yes, it came out okay, blah, blah, blah. So it does work. It definitely works. So I always know that if I'm out and I don't have any material with me, I know that I can pull out that scanner, that 3D scanner, and I can get it to work. And I know
Can
it'll work.
somebody take that and make a 3D printout of it?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm too cheap. I
Mr.
spent all my money on cameras and thermals, and I got a cheap phone. Up the phone.
Oh,
There's Chris.
there's
Let me tell you about the
there's
phone.
Yep. Chris, we got to talk about the phone. You never told me about the phone. What's matter with you? You never told me about the phone. I hope you made it. He's on vacation.
Mm,
Thank you for joining us, for popping in, checking in. I'm gonna message you later, Chris. Um, yeah, the scanning thing does work. It works really well. And then if you just need somebody with a 3D printer, and they
yeah,
can print it right out for you. Like,
yeah.
could you imagine like what that would be like? Like, to be like,
That'd be interesting to see a 3D print, because maybe the scanner is too sensitive. You know how you have leaves and things like
hmm.
that? Maybe it'd be too sensitive and you might lose some of the definition. I don't know. I don't know.
He's up in Gatlinburg.
Oh,
Thank
let's,
you. Thank you. Now, here, this is my other son. This is Mike. This is the Mike.
hi, Matt. No.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. I can't, thank you. You're sweet. I love you. I have no, listen, I've got Nana duty for the next 2 weekends. Right, for the next 2 weeks, I've got one. I have one set of grandkids come in this weekend, and then I have the other set the following weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I really am. I haven't been able to like get over there to see because I had all these trips coming up, and I
Mhm.
was really kind of nervous about.
Yeah, because the weekend after that, we're supposed to be going, right?
I know. I
Mm-hmm.
know.
Bring your
No.
scanner. Maybe we'll get lucky.
Yeah, maybe we will. Maybe we will. Maybe
Well, it
we
sounds
will.
like you're lucky. I mean, I've gotten some audio and stuff, but well, not like I said, not good enough to, you know.
Mhm.
But sounds like you and your son got a lot of good audio. I'd love that.
We do. We really do. We do. We really have some darn good audio.
What kind of recorder does he use?
It's an H1. It's an H1. It's a Zoom recorder. Is it the
See, I've got an
H1?
H1 is the one I told you about that
What?
whining, and it didn't pick it up very good at all. I have
No?
the, I've got an H2, but I dropped it off the bike, so I don't take it out as much. I dented it all up, but it's supposed to have 4D, surround sound. It's supposed to have 4
Right.
directions. I think I'm just going to go ahead and take it out,
I,
and if I crash it, I crash it, because I'm very
I
disappointed
will.
I didn't get the whining.
Well, I will tell you what is for me
Hmm.
the best that I've gotten the best audio with. Believe it or not, my Apple Watch.
Huh.
Yep.
Wow.
It's just I have it set on here and it's literally right on the face. And right when I get ready to go, I start right before I start going out, I hit it and I don't think about it. Like I don't think
Yeah.
about it. And then when I get home, or whenever I'm done, I stop it. And then when I get home, I check it out. I can see just like if it's on the spectrograph,
Yeah.
like I can see the file and I can go straight to something listening. And oh yeah, it's crisp, it's clear, and it gets things like there's been times when Matt and I went walking. We did like a short little hike out, came back, and he and I were talking because we kind of do that in this one area. We kind of like we
Yeah. You want to
we
attract, you're
we
not going to surprise something. You want to
yeah,
you.
but we're
Yeah.
kind of talking on purpose, like to let
Hmm.
them know we're there, kind of thing. And then
Yes.
we kind of hike back out, and then we kind of sit and wait, right? So he and I will go back there, and we're just talking, so we're not really paying all that much attention to really what's going on. Honestly, we're talking to each other. We're not taking, we're just the only thing we're doing is making sure looking for any like hogs because it has a lot of hogs in the area, right? So other than that, we're not really paying too much attention. And I get home and I hear tons of knocks off in the distance, some closer up. I mean, it was clear as day, just off my watch.
Yeah.
It works really well.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something, if any of you guys ever go out, start your recorder right away. Start your
Yes.
recorder right away. I kind of have a rough theory that when you show up at a camp, if they're around, they're going to check you out that night. And then they're either going to decide you're interesting or you're not interesting. So, it's always been, I remember one night, somebody showed up and we're all talking and everything, knock. Didn't get it on the recorder because we were still setting up and gossiping. There's another time, same thing happened. And I thought, oh, I'll get it tomorrow, go to bed. Whoop. And this was a, whoop, right there. It woke my son up and everything. Didn't get it on the recorder. So that now, like you said, as soon as I start out, I've got a recorder going.
Yep. You get that going. And then whenever you're done, like, I mean, there's been times that I've got home and I went, oh, I forgot to turn it off. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Well,
happened
that's,
too. But, like, it's all good because, like, but you're right. It's just, Brian Barber. Marty, you just sold me on the Apple Watch. Seriously, I should get a discount code for that plug. I really should. Somebody please let Apple know that I use it for squatching. Um, yeah, because it's it works. It works.
yeah.
It works
I mean,
really well.
I've had the H1. I lost that one, got another H1. I think this one's an H2. I've had the DR5, the Tascam DR5. They're all pretty decent.
Mhm.
I just don't have any luck. It's never been close enough, I guess. Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Second. And
Second
and
chance.
it's funny because the kids used to laugh at me because a hurricane come and I'd be getting everything. I get the water and I get the food and I get the everything down in there like, Mom, it's passing 100 miles east. You never know. And
Yeah.
the joke is, if I get prepared, it's not going to come. And sometimes I
Right.
begin to wonder, maybe if I don't prepare so much, maybe I will see something. Preparedness
You're
might
like,
happen.
okay, if I leave the foam back at the camp.
Leave the phone, leave the camera. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when you come across the tracks right
Yeah.
before it rains. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank
Oh, no
you.
problem. I enjoyed myself. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really appreciate it. I just, I love having other female
Mm.
researchers on. I love it. I enjoy it so much because I feel like, not for nothing, boys, but I do feel like that us females have a little more patience. And I think that we have a little bit more of, I don't know. I think that we are a little luckier than men because I think they do like to come and check us out.
I think,
I really believe that.
yeah, but men are focused. Men are focused, and they're, it's a good give and take, I should say. There's some benefits, and
I still say we have an edge on them, Marianne. Come on now. Come
well,
on.
do
You gotta
you
stick up. You gotta stick up on my side over here. We
when
got
we
we
were
got a
in
little we
Michigan,
have a teeny bit of an edge,
okay,
not
we
a
have,
full.
yeah. Well, I will say in Michigan, when things would quiet down, I'd walk out on the bridge and I'd start, hey, hey, and it seemed like things would start up a little bit more again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are attracted.
I think I
I
do.
just
I really believe that. Yeah. Yeah.
maybe that's a good thing that I'm not so young anymore because I don't
Right.
want to be too
Because I would
attracted.
be out. I know I would be out like I would be in so much
Mm.
trouble. My kids are always, you know, keeping, tabs on me everywhere I go, apparently.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I'm
They
more.
like I have this whole thing with my kids. I have to share my location. Whenever I go out and do these things, I have to be sharing my location.
I do the same because
Yeah,
I've
I
run
do that.
into, I had to warn my family that there's out where we're at. I was out there looking around and just happened to catch some out of the corner of my eye, and I see a guide duck behind some trees. And I'm thinking,
Mm,
I'm looking at my satellite going, the closest house is a good 4 or 5 miles from here. Guy didn't have a backpack. He wasn't carrying water, which is telling me that he's got a camp somewhere near there.
right.
Yeah, so you never know. I thought I had the place to myself. You never know.
Yeah, you never
So
know.
got to be
Yeah.
careful about that. And so I do
Yes,
the same
ma'am.
thing. I leave a map. I leave numbers who I'm with.
Yep. I always tell them I'm
Mhm.
going in, like I text them, I'm going in right now and I should be out by X time. If I'm not out by X time and I don't message you,
Yeah.
like this is where and I'm sharing my location with them like all the time. So yeah.
Yeah.
We got to be, smart, right? I mean, even if we
Mhm.
were men, I think we would be doing some of those same things, right? That's just what a hiker does, right?
No,
We have
no.
to do, yeah,
That's
I
like
do. I
asking
think that's
directions. No.
true. Because I mean, if you're going out, no matter who you're going out with, I mean, you still gotta let somebody know where you're going, when you're gonna be home. If you're not home in whatever day, if you're expected home in 2 days and you're not home in day two, you know what I mean? Like that's a responsible thing. I think we all do that though.
Well, some of
So
those places, I know that now I'm on the bike and I'm getting out farther. I look down at my phone and all I've got is SOS. So
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And it's kind of, that's another reason you need a bike so you can go with me, because I see all these other trails and I think, SOS, and this trail's not really marked. If I get
Mm-hmm.
lost there, nobody's going to find me. I only have seven. Well, no, I carry a refill, but 7 shots, and that's
Well,
it.
maybe I could put that on my Christmas list. You never know.
Yes.
Maybe.
Oh, you'll love it. You'll love it. Like I said, it's
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so
okay.
much.
Thank you.
Can you just wait backstage for me for a couple minutes and we'll talk just a minute? Let me just say goodnight to everybody.
Mhm. Good night,
Okay.
everybody. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Marianne. It was great. We got to have you back. We're gonna have to have you
Yeah.
back after our trip. We'll do an update.
Okay, so we have to have
Okay.
something happen on this trip. Okay.
Yes, something's gonna
Okay.
happen on this trip. I know it. Mhm.
Okay. I'll see you in a
Okay.
little bit.
All right. Wow, guys, that was another amazing interview. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you so much for that super sticker, Mike. I really appreciate it. I love you much. And you guys, again, another great show. I just love it. I love talking to these amazing researchers. I love it, love it, love it. And I've got more coming for you guys next week. Make sure you hit those notification bells. Excuse me. Also, oh, Bigfoot Times. Make sure you guys go to the Bigfoot Time. It's bigfoottimes.net and sign up for your subscription. It's a little bit over 20. It's like $21 and something for an entire year of subscriptions. Our encounter that we had in Missouri on the expedition is going to be almost the entire, if I understand it correctly, everything that happened is going to be in the October edition. So make sure you guys go and do that. Support Daniel Perez over there and what he does. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you all for being here. And please remember, everybody, what do we say? Remember to spread love and kindness wherever you go.